that insight did not have the effect that they stopped this work, but parallel to the development of this new technology, they started investigating what are the actual risks, how does this behave with regard to what we already know about asbestos. And I think that is a sort of a proactive approach, which requires a kind of proactive attitude of scientists, not being only being. It's quite okay to be fascinated about the possibilities and the new mechanisms that you evolve, but also proactively thinking about now what could be the problems about this before it's too late. And maybe that is an attitude.
Yeah, well done.
Oh, we could have a discussion about nanoethics too, but I think that risks are managed in a context, and that is the important way how to counter them. And one such way, because we are often discussing biotechnology as something of the natural, something that is close to the genuine, we more should discuss it in the context of agriculture. One such interesting example is a book written by an American professor. She's called Pamela Ronald. It's called Tomorrow's Table, and she co-wrote it with her husband. And her husband is the organic farmer at the UC Davis garden, University Garden. So she's a geneticist and he's an ecologist. And they are about the Romeo and Juliet of agriculture. And the interesting part is that you can try to combine these two, because organic gardening or organic agriculture is about how you make plants grow. It's not about what you make grow. So they've done some experiments in trying to bring the benefits of both. That there are some things that could be observed in organic agriculture that could be brought over to conventional agriculture, and some problems in organic agriculture, like diseases, like some pests, you cannot solve them with those methods available there. So they have written this book, they've done some tours, and brought forward some interesting ways to try to counter risks and to marry GMOs and organic farming. So it's one method.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Anthony.
I was talking about risks. So I think in some cases risks are very easily identifiable. And in synthetic biology, for example, if you synthesize 1918 flu and publish the sequence on a publicly available database, which happened, the risks are obvious. In the case of genetically modified food, it's not so clear what these risks are, which makes them hard to study scientifically. I think one needs to be more worried about risks that one can sort of understand or study. But the other aspect of this is that, or predict if you like, but the other aspect of this is that time may well be a healer here, because we've been now using genetically modified food for some 20 years, and all of these terrible accidents and disasters that opponents to genetically modified food have been predicting have not occurred. So I think one way or another the debate is becoming more scientifically based, just because of the passage of time. If that answers your question.
Well, yeah, but it does give perspective, but still, you say you find it hard to recognize what the risks are, even. But I could name a few, like, well, if people don't want DNA in their body, perhaps they're afraid that something might be toxic when foods are genetically modified. but also of things spreading that you put in nature, so that's why you wouldn't want bacteria to get out of the lab, for example. But are those ethical questions? How to handle those? And if yes, I think that those are also relevant topics to handle, right?
Well, I mean, you don't specify really what the risks are. You just say, well, it could spread. And do what?
Spread. And infect other life and change life as we know. Like I'm not myself a huge opponent or anything. I'm just trying to make this more of about the questions because, well, there are a lot of possible applications, but if there are opponents, there must be a reason to be against it, I guess, or they must have their reasons.
Okay, but I could say to you, you know, you could genetically modify corn, which is highly modified compared with what the Indians gave us, and it could spread, and it has. So what is the risk?
I don't know what the risk is. I don't know what the consequences are, and I don't know, I'm not myself an opponent, so perhaps I'm just trying to find the ethical questions here, because it's more now about the possible applications, but that's not an ethical debate, I think.
Yeah, Stefan wanted to...
Yeah, we already today have the term novel foods. That is a term used today by authorities. And you have to get the novel food has to be approved. And the novel food might be something that we haven't been eating before. I mean, there's no problem to produce, for instance, a new type of cheese and sell that. But if we come, okay, here, I produce a cheese and I include some type of staphylococci in that cheese, because that gives a very good flavor, a very good taste of that cheese. Then we need approval to do that, because it's known that staphylococci might produce toxins. And then people are looking into that. Okay, can we see they're looking into that, or was there some toxin produced, and so on and so on. I can say that blue cheese would never be approved today, for instance. We have eaten that for thousands of years, but if you came today, we never have been eating that before. Hey, I have a cheese and it's a lot of mold on the surface, mold inside. It would never ever be approved, because there are hundreds, thousands of metabolites. We have no idea what they are doing, the toxic, how toxic are they, and so on and so on. So it's very much based on tradition, what we have been eating. Everything that we have been eating is safe, just per definition in that regard. So I think it would be fair that GMO are treated in the same way as other new novel foods coming in.
That doesn't make the perspective very optimistic.
Yeah, I think it does, because then you really have to look at the risks, at the hazards, and come to the conclusion. And if you find the risk is too big, that you have gene transfer, or that you have some production of unwanted metabolites, then it must be stopped.
Yeah, we're going to let Mats in as well.
Yeah. I think it's very good that you are pressing us to focus on these issues. Ethical questions arise when there are different interests at stake that must be balanced, or when you have benefits that have to be balanced against risks, for example. And I would, of course, say that most people today know that they have DNA in tomatoes and antibodies, so that would not be a problem today. But if you say that something can be toxic, of course that is important. But then it makes much more sense for me, if that is the ethical issue, to focus on not the technology, the toxicity of the technology, but the toxicity of the product that you create. And that needs then to be a major shift, in my view, in the debate and in the regulatory framework. Because if you are to just pick whatever you find, and my biology classes are far behind, but quite a few plants that you shouldn't eat because it's not healthy. They are very toxic. A lot of fungi are very toxic. So gene technology as such, or gene technologies, we shouldn't even speak of one technology, so many technologies around this are not toxic. But we need to investigate, of course, and that is what we do in the American system, that they see that now, in order to put this product on the market now, toxicity is a major issue, and you should not neglect that. So, but let's see, how is it? And if you find some toxicity, it could, for example, be accepted and acceptable within the medical situation where you have to balance like benefits for treatment against adverse reactions. There's no medical product that does not carry with some risk of adverse reactions. When it comes to food and what we eat, we are much less open to accept adverse reactions or risks of toxicity. We want it to happen. But you apply that standard, and you can also focus on the product rather on the technology. But then I think this debate that you have, this forum, is an excellent way of approaching these issues.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have another question, but that's going to drift away, so this is going to keep on. Should I ask my question?
Yeah.
I'll go for it.
Yeah, but speak up, so.
Okay, so GMO, with the GMO, okay, I sense that Waldemar tends to go towards this path. So GMO, when that naturally comes up in a question, tends to always be associated with genetically engineered crops. But this tends to hide the possibilities of biotechnology and GMO in general. But I would like to hear your views, like Mats and Anthony Forster and Stefan. I would like to hear your views of how GMOs, since the prejudice of GMOs always tends to go towards genetically engineered crops, how that affects the possibilities of biotechnology and GMO.
You can start.